Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the Astrology Report for the week commencing the 9th of May, outlining some of the key aspects taking place during this time and what themes they outline to us so we can make best use of the energies. Now before I go into the actual aspects themselves, I just want to clarify, as I always do, that astrology doesn't control us in any way. It's more about understanding what the energies around us are doing, what kinds of energies are available for us to use, and what kinds of lessons they bring to us for us to be learning at this time. But in and of themselves, they don't control anything. They're just a way of us understanding how consciousness is unfolding around us, and therefore what kind of lessons we need to be learning so we can then constantly utilise them or apply them in our lives. Now, this particular week is a very busy one. There's a lot of aspects taking place, so we won't go into too much detail in any of them. I'll just give a main overview of the ones that are present. So I'll start off with the moon as usual. So the moon is starting off in Aquarius initially, so this is a time of kind of stepping back and understanding our place in the community. This is only happening briefly because very quickly the moon will move into Pisces, and this is a time for meditating, of understanding the flow of spirit in life and connecting with spirit in any given moment so that we're aligned with it and we let the flow guide us. Then on Friday the moon will enter Aries, and this will be a time where we feel that need to take action or feel that drive to make things happen, and may feel that kind of impatience to pursue things. But because we're coming towards the end of a lunar cycle before the moon's obviously enters Taurus on Sunday, but we'll have the new moon in Taurus on Tuesday. So we're going to the final quarter of the cycle, so this is more like a closing off. It's a time of releasing, so it could be things like releasing the tendency to be impatient, releasing any kind of escapism that we engage in or any kind of illusions. And then when the moon moves into Taurus, it's a time for getting grounded. It's a time for stepping back and making sure that we're doing things in a steady and practical kind of way. We're not rushing about trying to make stuff happen willy-nilly. And then we have the new moon itself on Tuesday, and this will obviously be an opportunity for us to set new intentions in areas around Taurus. This could be along the lines of developing greater patience, developing greater connection with the organic cycles of life, so learning to appreciate the value of working with the organic cycles rather than trying to make things happen on our own terms, and understanding that we don't have that much control over things. And personally, for myself, working here at the allotment, you learn to appreciate that you can't make things happen faster than they're meant to. You just got to work with the natural cycles and appreciate the lessons that we can learn along the way. So by working with the natural cycles, we engage with the flow and things happen much more smoothly. We're not stressing as much. And then after the new moon on the same day, the moon will enter Gemini, and this will be a time where it may feel that needs for connecting with one another, researching, and obviously with it being the waxing crescent, this may be where we start to see what kinds of intentions or what kinds of things we need to be working on based on what seed is sown at the new moon in Taurus. Now in terms of the other aspects this week, there's a lot, so I'll do a quick run through of them. We have Sun opposed Jupiter on Wednesday, so this marks the midpoint of the Jupiter retrograde and is all about balancing Taurus and Scorpio as such. Jupiter in Scorpio is like a year-long transit. It sets a theme for us all to be learning over the 12 months or so that Jupiter's there. And with Scorpio, this is about making the unconscious conscious and bringing things to the surface. And the Sun in Taurus reminds us to be grounded during this process. And grounding is going to be a key thing for all of us during this week. There's a lot of quite high energy aspects taking place. And if we don't remember to slow down and get grounded periodically so that we're not overwhelmed by everything happening around us, by getting grounded we become present. It's more easy to respond to things rather than react. So spending time in natural settings or green environments like I'm doing here at the allotment now can be very helpful in keeping us grounded so we don't go overboard and we don't stress ourselves out. The next couple of aspects will be on Friday. This will be when Lilith, the Sun is trying to Lilith and trying to Pluto on the same day. So this aspect brings us an opportunity to transform ourselves. It brings a smooth flowing energy, so we may find it more easy to transform our consciousness through acknowledging where we engage in shadow behaviours, where we either act out of a sense of powerlessness, or we seek to try and control situations or other people out of, again, a fear of being powerless, and thinking that power involves how we control our environment, when actually it isn't. True power lies at the core of who we are, but we have to go through a transformation within ourselves in order to shed the layers of illusion between who we think we are and who we really are, because at the core of our being is that true power. But this power is love. It's not fear, it's not control. It's something that we can't own it, but we can share it as such, because it's from that point we're radiating it from the core of our being, and we understand that to be truly empowered, we have to relinquish any need to control others. But at the same time, if we've empowered ourselves and we don't feel the need to control other people, the desire then becomes mutual empowerment. So if we've empowered ourselves, we understand love, we understand how operating from love is the most powerful place we can be in, and we can then empower other people. This doesn't mean that we tell them what to do or force them to be any given way, but if we're radiating love, they will feel that in one way or another, and if they're open to transformation, open to change, then they may take that love on board and start transforming from there. But as always, we can't force other people to do anything. The only thing we're truly responsible for is ourselves and the way we respond to things and the attitudes and beliefs we hold on to. So if we look at how we can transform ourselves and do the internal work necessary to break free of old holding patterns, this aspect between the Sun and Pluto can help us with this, and the opposition between the Sun and Jupiter can also in effect help us with that, and Pluto kind of creates a connection between the two, or an easier aspect that allows us to channel it through another means. And with the Sun also trying to Lilith, this is about understanding the need to, or not trying to copy the people. It's we need to shine in our own right and encourage other people to do the same. So it doesn't mean that we try and encourage people to be like us. It's about encouraging each other to be the best versions of ourselves, be our own unique selves, and shine our own light. Because if everyone shines their own light, then the light is much stronger, and empowerment happens that much faster. Because when each person claims their own light, they take charge or take responsibility for their own lives and seek to become the best versions of themselves by being true to who they are, then true authentic relationships and true authentic partnerships can form with one another, along with authentic communities. Because if we're working on ourselves and transforming ourselves through self-empowerment, then the community benefits automatically, because we're now much stronger, much more capable of contributing and making things better. Now there is an aspect that's building up over the course of the week, but won't be exact until the Wednesday of the following week. This is a square between Mars and Uranus, and this is a time where we may feel a clash between the actions and desires that we're taking at the moment and whatever wisdom's coming in through the higher mind, which is symbolised by Uranus, and we may feel a certain sense of chaos if we're not sufficiently awake or not sufficiently conscious of our own actions. Because Uranus is generally associated with chaos, but this is only really the case if we're resistant to any kind of change and resistance to how consciousness is unfolding around us. And the more we resist it, the more things may feel chaotic to us. But it's all just perception at the end of the day. If we understand the underlying reason for something, then we recognise the order that underlies that apparent chaos, and we can then use that to achieve brand new things, or to allow new things to happen, to allow things to manifest a different way to how we've always expected them. And this builds up until next Wednesday, but before that we have Uranus moving into Taurus on Tuesday, and it'll be the first time Uranus has been here since he left Taurus in 1942. So for many of us, we haven't experienced this transit of Uranus and Taurus, only the people who were alive in the early 1940s or late 1930s will understand this, will have experienced this transit already. So basically anyone who's from over 80 years old will understand this transit to some extent, but for most of us this is a new one, and this is a time of learning to change our perspective of our resources, to change our relationship with the material world around us, and to put things into perspective and look at how can we utilise the resources we have from a more humanitarian pursuit rather than just personal gain. But for this we first have to learn to not become attached to material things, to not believe that we have to keep pursuing material comfort at all cost, but equally need to avoid the other extreme, which is anti-materialism, to pursue asceticism when it's not necessary. So we need to be in that middle road, so we understand how we can use our resources more wisely, but we don't take ownership of them. We don't claim ownership, because we understand that we're just stewarding them. So we can't claim ownership over material resources because they naturally move on. Everything is naturally cyclical, and if we don't need a resource anymore, you often find that it naturally just seems to move on to someone else. So it's learning to be sufficiently detached with our resources and understanding how can we use them wisely to benefit as many people as possible, but at the same time, how can we maintain that sense of detachment so that we understand that we're in the world but we're not of it. It's having that faith that the resources that we need will come to us, but this is also a time where pursuing the rugged individualism mentality that has been prevalent for a long time is no longer a viable way of doing things. We need to look at the bigger picture now and understand that if we want things to change, we need to look at how can we work as communities again, how can we become masters of our own resources, and how can we do more with less. So rather than always trying to go get something new, how can we use the resources that we already have in a better way? How can we transform our understanding of our resources or tap into new ones in a way that's beneficial on a collective level? And how can we learn to appreciate the organic cycles of things and understand that by working with the organic cycles of life and working with the natural cycles of Mother Nature, we can transform things very quickly, and we can try to heal the environment as such by understanding how the natural cycles work, and then kind of give Mother Nature a helping hand. We've seen there are plenty of cases around the world where someone's understood the importance of working with the natural cycles in order to heal the environment, and they've then given nature a helping hand. So this is potentially a time for an ecological revolution, but I'll go into more details of this later on. But potentially this is a time where we need to look at a more ecological way of doing things and making better uses of the resources we already have, rather than constantly seeking new ones when we haven't made best use of the ones that we already have. And on the same day we have a new moon in Taurus, as I mentioned towards the beginning, and this is an opportunity to set new intentions in Taurus, and this could be along the lines of developing greater patience, developing greater connection with the organic cycles, and spending more, potentially may decide to spend more time in nature to understand our connection with nature, to get more grounded. Because the thing with this week is there are a lot of high energy aspects, and we need to become more grounded. We need to slow down from time to time and check in with ourselves to make sure that we're not being pulled off centre, we're not being pulled into something that isn't right for who we are. So we need to remain true to who we are, and grounding is a key part of that. If we're not grounded, it becomes very difficult to stay focused or stay present, because we're being pulled off centre by lots of other stuff. So it's important that we all work on staying grounded this week. But this week also holds much opportunity for all of us to undergo deep transformation. But the new moon in Taurus reminds us that we may also need to look at where do we need to let go of resistance to change, where do we need to let go of stubbornness and pig-headedness, where do we need to let go of possessiveness. It's only by detaching from these tendencies and becoming grounded and connected with the earth again that we can calm ourselves down, and a lot of the shadow side of Taurus naturally seems to ease off again. But if we want this to happen, we have to work with the energies. They don't just make things happen for us. We actually have to consciously participate in the unfolding cycles before us. Otherwise, things don't change in our lives, and we're not really in a position where we can have any right to complain, because we've not made any effort to change things for ourselves. We've just clung to how things are, even if we may know deep down that changing things up and applying new insights could make life better for us. If we cling stubbornly to what we know rather than having faith in what's unfolding before us and have taken a leap into the unknown, we'll most likely experience chaos as such, because we're resistant to change, and this chaos is just an external manifestation of what's going on within us. If we choose to constantly work with the energies, however, then things naturally become a lot easier, because we trust that things will unfold in the right way for us. And as long as we continue to take action and work with the energies, then things don't necessarily have to be stressful. Things can work out for a higher good, but only if we trust that there's an underlying reason for things, which we may not necessarily know that reason to begin with. Sometimes the reason only makes itself known much later on, after we've undergone some degree of transformation. But we have to work with the energies. They don't make things happen for us. So I hope it's a useful guide for the week. There's a lot there, so I hope it's not too much information as such. But I hope it's a useful guide for the week, and will help you understand what kind of energy is going on, and especially when you're in enter Taurus, and some significant changes will most likely happen worldwide as we experience a new kind of energy for most of us. But may the week bring you many blessings, and may you bring you much growth and a deeper understanding of the self through engaging or working on grounding, engaging in some kind of spiritual practice to help us stay connected with ourselves so we don't get drawn into the madness around us. And may this week bring you many blessings and much growth. Take care.